Hey everyone, after the dust has settled and all the brain matter has been picked off from the floor, I thought it'd be time for me to make this video and express my thoughts on what has been revealed so far from Star Wars Squadrons. As of this recording, I am deep into the expansion missions, and right now, the exclusive missions that were on the CD-ROM version of the game, and that game is what I consider one of the best Star Wars games, if not best PC games ever, and that is TIE Fighter, or as I like to say in my series, TIE Fighter. So, if you want to relive some of that magic, I will provide a link up top and at the end of the video on one of the cards if you like what I've said so far. And I do believe minds were blown. A lot of people have preconceived notions about EA, and I was one of them. And I didn't think they would ever make a game like Squadrons. The idea of that game isn't your typical money making game. And I really did give up on the idea that we'd see something along the lines of the X-Wing series. Just as we got hints of starfighter combat coming out of Project Maverick, we also got news about its budget. And those things led me to think that what we would end up getting would be something along the lines of a Rogue Squadron game. Everybody loves those games. And knowing that the budget would be on the low side, especially for a Star Wars game in this current video game environment, I cynically thought that the devs could take one of their existing modes in Battlefront 2, which was Starfighter Assault, and quickly and on the cheap whip up a third-person action game just like the Rogue Squadron series. And I was pleasantly surprised that was not the case when we got the reveal trailer and the gameplay trailer in middle of June 2020. Now, do I think that Squadrons will be just as good as my beloved TIE Fighter or anything in the X-Wing series? No. Basically, Squadrons is just too gimmicky given it has a 5 versus 5 game mode. Now, I still think Squadrons will be the closest we'll ever get to something, like I said, my beloved TIE Fighter or anything out of the X-Wing game series, especially in this current video game environment. The game may have some arcadey elements that will make it accessible to Xbox or PlayStation owners, but what has been revealed makes me think the game will lean towards something that was in those TIE Fighter and X-Wing games. Now, with all the information that's been released so far, I thought I'd list some of my pros and cons, but not in the way you normally think of them. I'm going to profess the things that I love and express some of the concerns I have towards the game. A lot of people would like the bad news first and the good news last, but when you say pros and cons, and we read left to right here in the Western world, I will start with the pros and end with the cons. But it's not all bad, right? So in descending order, I will go with the things I profess to love about what has been revealed. Number 5. Hotas, or Joystiq support. For those of us currently replaying a certain game involving Imperial starfighters or flight sim enthusiasts or those playing Elite Dangerous or even Star Citizen. It's great to know that we'll be able to continue that flight sim feeling by using the equipment that we're comfortable with. And this is one of those things that the devs certainly did not have to do. They could have ruffled some of our feathers, but they didn't. And they gave us one of these cherry on the top moments that this reveal has been giving us in spades. And I will reveal some of those later on down the list. But yeah, it's great to know that we'll be putting our equipment to good use in Star Wars Squadrons. Number 4, crossplay. Cats and dogs living together. But yeah, it not only will I be able to play other PC owners, I'll be playing along with my friends on the Xbox, or even strangers on the PlayStation 4 network. I think it's a great move to expand the pool of players so that not one platform has an unpopulated server, that we can all draw from this one pool and get games in quickly or form teams up easily. So that is something I did not expect. Not a cherry on top, but it's definitely a welcomed addition, and I'm looking forward to playing all of you on different platforms. Number 3, VR. And this is one of those other cherry on the top moments that I was talking about in number 5. And this is something I didn't think that the devs would do. And they're going to make the game completely playable in virtual reality. So those of you fortunate enough to have a PSVR or a VR headset on your big rig will have quite the experience, and one I hope to get to do myself one of these days. I was lucky enough to play the Battlefront Rogue One VR mission, and as cool as it was to sit in a cockpit of an X-Wing, which is one of my favorite starfighters and favorite ships ever in Star Wars or sci-fi, the gameplay was not as fun, and it was basically on rails. Not only that, it was just one mission. So to have the entire game playable, wow, that is a chef's kiss right there. Number 2, callbacks and shoutouts. Boy, did the reveal and gameplay trailers have a lot for this, not only Fleet Junkie, but Lore Junkie to sink their teeth into. We got Hera Syndulla from Rebels, who is now an Admiral. And you saw the green helmet, and if you're as big a fan as I am, you shouted, "Wedge!" And I missed it, and I just read the books too. Well, the book. Shadowfall is out, but the first book in the Alphabet Squadron series, Vanguard Squadron, is mentioned, and I missed it, but will be a big part of that in Star Wars Squadrons. And then the gameplay trailer revealed Admiral Ray Sloan. We got to see her in that hologram here. And she was the big baddie from the Aftermath trilogy. And Fleet Junkies will know other ships, but we got to see the Arquitens class light cruiser. And not only that, but we got to see the composite beam. A lot of you might not know, but the composite beam was shown all the way back in episode 2. It's what the LAATs have, and they're mowing down all those battle droids in the Geonosis arena. But not only that, Star Wars Rebels also has it. The prototype B-Wing has a composite beam laser that Hera and Sabine fly, and that's the B-Wing that Quarry made. And the biggie for a lot of people is we get to see more of the Starhawk class battleships. That was also revealed in Aftermath and then fleshed out for Star Wars Armada. So you got a physical model. But not only that, it seems that the Starhawk class battleships will have a big role to play in Squadrons with the shipyards. And not only did we get callbacks to lore, but we also got it in the terms of gameplay, which everyone made a big deal about. And how can you not? Is the power management of an X-Wing or the TIE Fighter. So I don't know if it's the same keys, but hopefully F9 and F10 will be pressed a lot to transfer power from lasers to shields. And you guys who play X-Wing and TIE Fighter will know what I'm talking about. And finally, number 1, the timeline. Star Wars Squadrons takes place right after the original trilogy, but close enough to it. And it's refreshing to see that they didn't try to shoehorn themselves into the bankable original trilogy. And when I say bankable, I'm not talking in terms of only money, but the emotional investment that we have towards the Star Wars universe. I mean, a lot of people love The Mandalorian because it has that Star Wars feeling. And it's close enough to the original trilogy. It's 5 years out after Return of the Jedi, which is, I mean, not a lot of time when you consider that the sequel trilogy takes place 30 years after Return of the Jedi. And yeah, for those of you that are into the lore like I am, the condensed timeline of the Empire's surrender with the Galactic Concordance might not give creatives enough room to maneuver. But I think this would be the perfect opportunity to use Squadrons and flesh out what was going on with the Empire during that time, and not only that, but maybe push out against what might limit them in terms of the timeline, and maybe have them create opportunities for them to make more room for stories that involve the Empire. I'm hoping that we'll get to see Sentinel droids that were in the Aftermath trilogy and Alexander Freed's Alphabet Squadron. And we'll also get to see the beginnings of the New Republic, and maybe some tidbits here and there from the newly released Shadowfall book, also by Alexander Freed, which is part of the Alphabet Squadron series. And now, my concerns for the game, which, when you think about it, there's really only one big concern, even though I have 3 listed. The other 2 will be pretty much just jokes, but they are a little bit of a concern, but not really. Number 3, Aurebesh. Immersion ruined. Well, the lack of Aurebesh, that is. There is that one scene, and shout out to the JodoCast for posting this on Twitter, and it made the list because it's true. But there is that one scene where in the the reveal trailer, where we see a TIE fighter pilot's targeting computer, and its current prey is an X-Wing written in Roman letters, or English, as some of us will know. And I guess you could explain that away by saying that starfighter pilots in high stress situations can read High Galactic better than they can Aurebesh. Because, let's face it, I only know a few letters in Aurebesh, but I don't know all of them, and I'm pretty sure majority of people will recognize that maybe that's the language in Star Wars, but they can't read it, so it's easier to read it in English. And I mean, everything else in a cockpit of these starfighters will make us feel immersed anyways. So, like I said, not that much of a concern, but a little bit of one, right? Maybe one of these days I'll learn Aurebesh, and there could be a mod or something where everything's in Aurebesh. Number 2, the pre-order, or specifically that New Republic recruit skin. I don't like the helmet, or even the jacket. But as one of my friends said, and shout out to Zorbsy for saying this, we will probably never see it that much in the game. And he's got a point. I mean, the game takes place in first-person mode inside of a cockpit. And the moment I unlock a new skin, that thing is coming off. Or I might not even equip it at all. I much prefer the orange flight suit of an X-Wing pilot anyways. But I do really like that Imperial Ace helmet. That looks... wow, that looks amazing. And I really like that they're using the color scheme of the New Republic. And we saw that with Kazuda's T-85 X-Wing from Resistance. So I like how that's, you know, those blues are the same. Now, my biggest and final concern towards Star Wars Squadrons would be its single player. I haven't played the Battlefront 2 story mode yet. I do own the game, but I haven't played it yet. I do know that the consensus towards the story mode was that it was too short. And it left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I do not want that for Star Wars Squadrons. I'm hoping that it's longer than what Battlefront 2 got. And hopefully the devs take that to heart, knowing how everyone didn't like the brevity of the Battlefront 2 story mode. I'm hoping that it'll be around 10 hours, but that's probably asking for too much. 8 to 10, I like that. 10's a nice double-digit even number, right? So, yeah, I'm hoping for that. And not only do I want it longer than Battlefront 2's story mode, but I hope there are single-player modes for some players who got excited about picking up Star Wars Squadrons and finding out that they don't have the right stuff for multiplayer. I can see that happening, and I don't want people turned off by the game. I want a game like this to thrive, and I wish that we'll get some support in the terms of updates, like adding new modes, say like a gauntlet, so that like we can go after wave of fighters and maybe hone our skills, and then, you know, maybe come back to multiplayer that way, or even maybe a little bit of story. But whatever the case, I would like to see Star Wars Squadrons get the support that Battlefront 2 got after its rocky start. And we all know with the microtransactions and all the other stuff that it ended up in a better spot than it did when it began. So I'm hoping the same for Squadrons. I don't want a rocky start for Squadrons, but I hope it gets the support that Battlefront 2 got. As I've said, I want Star Wars Squadrons to thrive. And if you couldn't already tell, I'm really looking forward to this game coming out in early October of 2020. So much so that I've already pre-ordered the game. Just to show my support to the devs. Those wonderful devs at Motive in Montreal. I want to say merci. Thank you for giving me hope when I didn't think we'd ever be able to sit in a starfighter cockpit like we did in the Battlefront Rogue One VR missions. But not only that, taking it above and beyond that and letting us use our Hotas and flight sticks and just living in that Star Wars universe with Wedge and Hera and being part of Vanguard Squadron, you know, hoping to take down Imperials and giving Admiral Sloan a horrible day. Merci. And while I am expressing my gratitude, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. You know, I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe. That's a quote I heard somebody say. I think it was a bounty hunter on Camino. But anyways, whatever you guys could do to help out. I'm just a small YouTube channel, and if you like what I've said, please go ahead and share. That'd be awesome if you did. Otherwise, as I end my TIE Fighter videos, if you got something to say, go down below and...
Enter your name, pilot.